All right, y'all. So first of all, the full show should be dropping right now. Definitely check it out. We had a bunch of amazing segments in the show today. But I wanted to do a quick segment here after the show because I didn't have room to fit this in. And man, is it a doozy. So I'm sure you guys saw that yesterday we had what was effectively a fake science presentation from Trump and RFK. So it's basically like he said it was this big medical announcement, an autism announcement. It's going to be a big deal, maybe the biggest deal ever, some people say. And so, as expected, it was batshit crazy. You have these basically three like old, out of touch men making up fake science, junk science, dropping that on everybody, and then also at the same time getting involved in a corrupt grift. So let me walk you through this here. So first of all, just factually wrong things that were said. There were a million of them, but the main crux of this press conference was Trump saying that we found out that actually Tylenol causes autism. If you take Tylenol while you're pregnant with your kid, that can cause autism. So don't take Tylenol when you're pregnant. That was basically the gist of it. Now, you're not going to be surprised to learn that's complete and utter horseshit. In fact, here's one of the doctors that I follow on Twitter. He said the following: RFK Jr. and Trump are wrong. The largest and best study in the world in 2.5 million kids found no increased autism risk with acetaminophen, which is Tylenol. By the way, I should also point out before I continue, Trump did not know how to pronounce acetaminophen. The president of the United States did not know how to pronounce acetaminophen, which is like one of the most commonly used medicines in the entire country. He's fucking almost 80 years old. All right, let me continue. So they say, best study in the world in 2.5 million kids found no increased autism risk with acetaminophen used by the mother during pregnancy. A crude, unadjusted analysis found only a preliminary 5% risk. But once you adjust for family by matching using sibling controls who didn't get autism, the even tiny 5% risk vaporizes to 0%. So, in other words, there is no connection whatsoever between Tylenol use among pregnant women and autism in kids. What's so crazy is that there's a bunch of like widely known things about this that I don't even think they came up in the press conference. Like, for example, and Corin and I were talking about this yesterday on the Kyle and Corin podcast, like the age of the father, there's a better correlation between like the age of the father and autism in the kid than like almost anything else. Some say it's both the age of the father and the mother. Basically, like the older the parents are, the more likely it is, the more risky it is, the more likely it is the kid may have autism. That's one potential factor. Of course, a lot of people think it's just flat out genetic and that it's really not environmental at all. But you have these idiots coming out here and saying, oh yeah, it's Tylenol. Meanwhile, every expert that, I've looked into is basically like, that's just completely not true. Like none of that is true at all. And it just goes hand in hand with who RFK Jr. is. I mean, this guy, he is a total crank. He's a total crank, and Trump is a fucking idiot, and he's more than willing to go along with the crankery of RFK, and here we are. So let me give you some more. So Trump said in the press conference, quote, "The Amish have no autism. The Amish have no autism." I mean, again, that's just factually wrong. Like, not only is that factually wrong, intuitively you should be like, that seems fucking sketchy. But then the second you look it up, they're like, no, of course not. Not only do the Amish have autism, but this notion of like, oh, the Amish are like this overwhelmingly healthy group within the country, which is otherwise sort of struggling. That's not true either. There's a lot of like intermarriage in the Amish community. So if anything, they suffer from like other issues that the rest of the country doesn't really suffer from because there's not that much intermarrying in effectively what's supposed to be a civilized country, right? So it's exactly backwards. They pretend like, oh, yeah, the Amish, since they don't, the idea is, oh, they don't take all these drugs, all this pharmaceutical bullshit, and they don't eat all this processed food, therefore they're way healthier. That's the idea that they're getting at there. And again, it's just not fucking trame. They do have autism. They have the same rates of autism. They have the same rates of ADHD. I think Trump said a similar thing, like they don't have ADHD either. Like what am I supposed to do with this, bro? I'm a fucking YouTuber, and like I have higher standards on what I talk about and what comes out of my mouth than the fucking president of the United States. He literally just got up there and said the Amish have no autism. Like, that's not true. Like, that's not true. Oh my God. All right. So then there's also this. Ready? Trump said that Cuba is too poor to afford Tylenol, but now nobody in Cuba is autistic. Do I even need to mention that, of course, like, literally none of that is true? Do I even need to bring it up? Do I need to say anything? No, Cuba is not too poor to afford Tylenol, and no, Cuba is not totally free of autism. This is fucking ridiculous. Like American science is now being run by, like, the biggest cranks in the country, and I'm not kidding about that. All right, so ready? This takes an even darker turn. So far, I've just been giving you the idiotic stuff. Now let's go to the corrupt stuff. So Dr. Oz is there with RFK and Trump for this announcement, and Dr. Oz says the FDA is approving leucovorin for treatment of autistic children. And then he says over half of American children are covered by Medicaid and CHIP, government health insurance. State Medicaid programs in partnership with CMS will cover the prescription around the country. So he's saying we just approved this drug, leucovorin, to treat autistic children. Ready for this? iHerb, which is a company that Dr. Oz served as a global advisor for and still owns a major chunk of equity in, is the largest seller of folinic acid in the U.S. It is the non-prescription version of leucovorin. And as of today, it has rapidly sold out. So in other words, Dr. Oz goes up there, RFK goes up there, they go, oh, we found this cure, this treatment that's really going to help with autism. Here's the name of it. Then a bunch of idiots watching it go and purchase it. And oh, would you look at that? Who's going to make money off the purchase of the thing they just said cures autism or helps with autism? They're going to make money. Dr. Oz is going to make money. His fucking scam-ass supplement company, which, by the way, if you watch this show for a long time, you know, I believe we covered when RFK was picked to be in the Trump regime. He has a long track record in history of selling scam products so he gets wealthy. Again, this is what we're doing. This is what we're dealing with in this country. Like, grifters have taken over the entire country, and now American science is being driven into the ground. It's absolutely grotesque, man. All right, I got more for you. So Trump says, the MMR vaccine, I think, should be taken separately. This is based on what I feel. Bro, nobody gives a fuck what you feel. How am I supposed to get this across to people? I don't care what you feel. I don't care. I care about the data. I care about the facts. I care about the information. This is based on what I feel. And I told you guys this. We reported this on the show the other day, but they are now separating because RFK and Trump are fucking anti-vax cranks. There was a vaccine, MMR, and actually chickenpox, I think, was part of it too. So measles, mumps, rubella, and chickenpox. You give the shot to kids as soon as they're born. All of those things. They get vaccinated, then they're safe from measles, mumps, rubella, and chickenpox. And now they want to delay the vaccines until 4 years old. And they also want to separate them out. So they have, I think, chickenpox as one and measles, mumps, rubella as another. But I don't know, they may even be crazy enough to say, I want a measles one, a mumps one, and a rubella one separately, and a chickenpox one separately. So that'd be 4 vaccines you take instead of 1, basically. And that, again, that's an attempt to sort of overburden people and make them just feel, we're not going to get the vaccine because these are anti-vax cranks. But it's so crazy. He just said, this is based on what I feel. Nobody cares about what you feel. Trump said this in 2015 or 2016 in one of the debates. He was like, you give this beautiful, precious little baby a pump full of all this stuff. It's terrible. They should really spread out the vaccine schedule. And it's like, I'm sorry that you have this, like, intuitive sense that there's something wrong with that. But all the data says there's nothing fucking wrong with that. I mean, like, they don't know dick about medicine. They don't know anything about it. I'm sure if you're a doctor or a scientist and you were fucking watching this thing, you were considering ending it all. You were like, I can't deal with this stuff anymore, bro. I really can't deal with this shit. All right, I got more. So here's one of the things RFK said during this scam-ass announcement. He said, some 40 to 70% of mothers who have children with autism believe that their child was injured by a vaccine. President Trump believes that we should be listening to these mothers instead of gaslighting and marginalizing them like prior administrations. So, in other words, coddle the delusions of people who are factually wrong. So agree with if some mother thinks, oh, a vaccine gave my kid autism, be like, hey, maybe you're right, even though we know that's factually incorrect. This is like literally the destruction of American science, which is why they cut off the funding for all of the mRNA vaccines. So now there was a promising cancer vaccine that they were working on. Now the money for that is gone. It's dried up. There's going to be no promising cancer vaccine coming out of the US now because of these fucking cranks. That's just one example. They're defunding long-term studies. There was one for like fucking diabetes and Alzheimer's, and they don't give a fuck. They're just destroying American science through and through. And then finally, I'll give you this also. So Trump said, quote, hepatitis B is sexually transmitted. There's no reason to give a baby that's almost just born the hepatitis B vaccine. That's what he said. The reality of the situation, ready for this? The point of the hepatitis B vaccine for newborns is to prevent chronic infection, which can lead to severe health issues like liver cancer, not just because of sexual transmission. Newborns are particularly vulnerable because they can contract the virus from their mother during birth, a non-sexual transmission route. Vaccinating at birth ensures the highest efficacy because young immune systems respond best to the vaccine, providing lifelong protection. Delaying the vaccine, as Trump suggests, increases the risk of chronic infection and related diseases, ignoring the critical window for prevention. So in other words, yet again, one fucking Google search could have debunked the notion from these idiots, RFK and Trump, that why would you give the vaccine to a kid who's just born? That's a sexually transmitted, disease. They're not going to get that disease. No, you don't even understand the multiple ways you can get it. Oh my God. Oh my God, bro. We are so fucking cooked. We're just so cooked. We're so cooked. Because when you look at what's been done, just to this point, you have RFK limiting access to the COVID vaccine. You have a bunch of vaccine skeptics now put on the advisory panels. You have the CDC director who was fired after a month because they refused to submit to RFK's junk science claims. You have 1,260 people at the Epidemic Intelligence Service who were fired. So when we get the next epidemic, we're going to be fucking cooked. He ended U.S. support for this global vaccine program. He helped kick millions of people off of Medicaid. He canceled the flu vaccine campaign. He's trying to link antidepressants to violence, which is total fucking bullshit. He laid off thousands of HHS workers. He released that Maha report, you remember this? That had totally fake, made-up ChatGPT bullshit in it. There's been mass resignations now at the CDC and HHS because they go, these guys are just like wanting to put whatever the fuck they believe in the science. They don't care about the actual empirical data. He told Bernie healthcare isn't a right. And then never mind all the personal decisions RFK makes. Like this motherfucker thinks nicotine is good for you and methylene blue is good for you when he takes testosterone and human growth hormone and a peptide that makes his skin darker. I mean, this is crazy, bro. This is crazy. Like the junk science believers are now taking a wrecking ball to science in this country. And I think the scariest part of this event that they did is that they're so stupid, they don't even know how they come across. When they do this event and they proclaim all these bold new, we found what causes autism and don't take this vaccine and take this drug. And they think like, well, this comes across as normal. Well, no, maybe to somebody who knows nothing, but to the fucking scientific community, they're all fucking facepalming right now going, what the fuck is happening in this country? And the fact that they're so stupid that they would make a big show of basically humiliating themselves and saying factually wrong things the entire event just shows how far gone we are, just shows how far up Schitt's Creek we are with no paddle whatsoever. So, man, it's rough out there, bro. It's rough out there. And I just want to do this quick segment here for you, but definitely tune into not only the rest of the show today, which definitely do, but also tune into the rest of the show, or tune into the full show tomorrow, because there's a lot of shit happening right now as I talk to you, man. Trump at the UN stuff, updates on the Charlie Kirk investigation. They're absolutely wacky and more. So, all right, I'll see you guys tomorrow. Peace.